Okay, my name is Jim, and what I'm gonna be doing today, oh my gosh, I keep patching this thing. Huh? Really? Well, she came right at me. So today I'm going to transfer um, the hive that I caught the nuke, the swarm in. I'm going to transfer that to their home. Don't get caught in here. Okay, so probably should use a smoker, but I'm not gonna be doing it that. I'm not gonna be doing it that long, right? It's like get a smoker. A few minutes later, I'm done. Smoker's just really getting going. So if I was gonna spend more time in a hive, inspecting it and doing all kinds of different things, looking for the queen, yeah, then I would do that. But I'm not doing that today. All right, girls, that served the purpose. That is going to be your new home. New home. Put this right on over. I'm going to slide that right into the place where this one is. All right, girls. You are getting a new home. That is what they look like. So that's going to be the center. Nice little comb there. Now this is only 3 days. This is day 3. Day 3. Right. And they are so angry with me. Angry, angry, angry. And so that's kind of it right there. All done. What I'm going to do, put this 10th frame in there. These are all just homemade frames. And then I'll take this box. Just kind of dump as many as I can in there. Then slide this over. Easy peasy, it was so easy. Let them walk in, put my cover on. That cover on. And then just let them walk in. Walk right in, sit right down. So they're going to reorientate. hoping that the queen's in there. She may not be. Yeah, I hear you. Go away. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh well, yeah. Okay, so that's it. So that has been transferred. Easy peasy. It was really easy. So my hope is that they will walk in there, unless that queen is still in that box, in the baited nuke. Hard to tell. You can only shake it so much. So I'll just leave that there until this evening. Eventually they'll just walk their way in. Eventually. Unless the queen's still in the nuke box. Then they'll all walk back into the nuke box. I'm hoping she was on one of those frames. Most likely she was in the center. So her pheromones are going to start filling that new box, the blue one there. And so as her pheromones start filling that box and they start coming out that pheromone starts coming out that entrance, they're going to start trailing from that baited nuke to the main frame hive brood box. Okay, well that's it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to transfer this bottom screen board. I'm going to transfer it to a screen so that it'll help keep them cooler. And I can check for varroa mites and other pesty things. Okay. Don't want no pesty things. Alright. What I have here is I have this bottom screen board. Scrap wood. The stuff that you normally throw away. And so that's going to go down, so there's a gap on either end. And so I take a stick and I will put it in the front here to block them so they can't get in. But when I would choose to raise it up in hot weather, that stick comes out. There'll be a big gap here. The airflow comes nicely through. But in the interim, I don't want the bees crawling in there when I have my observational panel there. They just get reinfected with the mites that are dropping. Don't want that. So, oh, squeeze that in a little too tight. Alright. Alright, girls, I am going to disturb you too. Everybody's getting disturbed today. It's so disturbing, isn't it? Oh, I pinched you. Oh shoot, I can't do that. I'll just take this, set it right here. Whoa, that's a lot more packed than I anticipated. Alright, girls. Almost got you all squared away here. Getting close. So close. Take with this stick. Put it in front of here. They can't get through. Like that. And then put this right back on there. Uh-oh. Got this doggone thing flipped around the wrong way. Okay. There we go. All right, girls. Easy peasy. All right. You girls are gonna need to find your way home. 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 Where's my home? I don't know. All right. And that is that for now. And so what I did was now I've got these three hives are on a 1/8 inch hardware clock for a base instead of a wooden floor. So I'll be slapping a observation panel in there shortly, and I'll be able to tell what's going on. That hive's a lot bigger than I anticipated it already. That's the swarm I caught in the middle of last month, and that is really packed, heavy. There's more bees now in that one than in my original hive. Yeah, so must have been a pretty big swarm. Not only that, but I fed them really heavy for about a month. Yeah, they were eating a lot. And so I'm going to do the same thing with this other one. The swarm I just caught the other day. I will be feeding them really heavy for a month, so they have plenty of sugars to make new comb. Yeah, I'm done. And so they'll get all bulked up. So these two hives, I think the queen in the split that I did, I don't think she's laying anymore. Either that she died, or they made a new queen and hasn't come back yet, or started laying. Of course, it's going to be 21 days. So queen leaves. Right? First, it takes her half a month to hatch out, and well, a little more than a half a month to hatch out and then come out, and then it can take up to a week for her to get fully mated, depending upon how many drones are out there. And then typically it's about 3 days if there's sufficient drones for her to find, which I think there is. Then she can come back and leave one day and come back that day in the evening or whatever. Just depends. But it could take up to a week for her to feel like she's fully mated. So that's 3 weeks. And then another 3 weeks for the eggs to hatch once she lays them. And then almost another week before they even come out as worker bees and start doing their orientation flights. That could be almost 2 months, if not 2 months. So before any orientation flights are observed. 2 months. And it hasn't been quite 2 months since I did the split and possibly left them queenless, where they had to make their own queen. Or maybe because this queen was laying really spotty, maybe they replaced her and took her out. And so there could be a new queen in there laying eggs. And so that's kind of it. I think I'm going to move that box up higher so that it's easier for them to walk in over there. Put some wood here or something. Some wood here. Raise that box up. right in there. Okay. There's just no way to tell whether I was able to dump that queen out of there. She could still be in the nuke box, right? I don't know. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. See, no. Let me see. Yeah, so her, like I said, her pheromones are going to have to fill that box, the new one, the brood, and then that'll start coming out the front, and the bees that are still in the nuke box will get wind of it. Not only that, but I've noticed that bees will come out of where the hive that I transferred the queen to. They'll come out and go into the nuke box that's next door and get the other girls, and I'll start seeing like a whole bunch of them, long lines, thick, going into the nuke box. That can take a while for all that stuff to balance out. Okay, well those were two important things I wanted to get done today with these hives. And yeah, I mean the entrance is still same location, but it looks different, right? The entrance is still, their GPS is still going to take them to that front. Yeah, I might have to pop both those tops again and dump some more. Another option is to take some sugar water and spray them all. It makes them a little heavier, and then they just kind of come out in clumps. Then they lick each other off. So if they got varroa mites on each other, they clean that sugar off each other, and that sugar makes the varroa mites feel uncomfortable when they're attached to the backs of the bees. When that sugar starts to dry, the varroa mites want to shift because it starts to, you know, feel really uncomfortable as that sugar dries and cracks and shifts their legs around, and yeah, and so they'll start shifting around, and as the bees are cleaning each other, off go the mites. Of course, in that one, there's no screen, so those mites will just fall right into the panel and crawl right on back onto the next bee that walks by. That's what's so special about the screen board that I designed, is that because mites will shuffle around. They'll groom each other, and they'll groom a mite off, and that mite will fall to the wooden bottom, right? And it'll just climb on the next bee. Whereas that screen, they just fall right through that. Those holes to a varroa mite is like a Grand Canyon. They just fall right through. And so, yeah, in my opinion, all hives should become standard with a 8-inch hardware cloth and an observational panel. Like that, you can see if you got ant infestations or other kind of bug problems. Hive beetles, they fall through that. Yeah, about a week ago I pulled out about 15 or so hive beetles, those little gnat-looking ones. I pulled out thousands in one evening last year. They had heavily infested the hive that I had there. That was a different hive. And so, yeah. Maybe I'll put that box on top. Yeah, what do you think? Put it on top. I'm not walking into that. I don't know. It'd be easier for them to just walk right in instead of having to climb down. And they still want to occupy that faded nuke, or that nuke box. I took the bait out, I think. It's just an empty box, no frames, nothing in there, but they're going in there. Yeah, I'll probably have to dump it again. So, the first night, after catching the swarm, so what did I do? Oh yeah, I brought that hive here from the cherry tree the first day, and I set it there. So 3 days later is when I transfer it. Okay, so I had to catch up, right? Forgot my mustard, and so yep, I'm glad I have this on. And so the first night after I transferred them from the cherry tree to here, there was only a dozen bees by midnight. There was only a dozen bees all clustered together. They weren't coming. They weren't going to go back to here, the new location. So I transferred them that at 12 o'clock that first night, a couple nights ago, and transferred them with a stick. Get on here, and they walked all in onto the hive. So last night, the same thing. I left the hive out in front all day, and last night at midnight I went to see how many was in there. There was 0. So they all reorientated to this hive. Now today there were still bees buzzing around that area, but they now know where this one is. So at night they'll come to this one, and that's what I want to do. I want them to come at night to their new hive, and then they'll eventually get fully adapted. Actually, that's the quickest one I've done so far. When I was taking from here back and forth, it took like a week. This process took, I don't know, 30 hours, something. Yeah, 36, something. I mean, from beginning to end, bring them back here from the tree. No more bees spending the night in the hive that's in the tree. Done deal. So maybe putting a bush in front of the hive did work. It quickened it, right? It made the process faster. Didn't solve it because they still went by the hundreds into the hive in the tree where they originally orientated. But I think that by putting the bush there, it gave them a stronger memory of being back here. So they had 2 memories of 2 locations, so they can go either or. Instead of just coming right out, I'm going right and not doing any recognition at all. You know, instead of going right out into the cherry tree one. They had that bush, and they're going, what is this location? So they had some subliminal memory of, oh, this is where the hive is, but then they still went to the cherry tree. So I'm gonna have to dump all those back in there again. So what I'm gonna do tomorrow is I'm going to investigate this one to see if there's any egg laying. Last time I looked, it was very sparse. There was cap brood, but it was a spotty pattern, which is usually a sign of the queen is old. She's running out of eggs, and I seen a decent size, not huge, navigational flight, but it's been about 4 days. And on that one over there, I don't know, it's been over a month, I think, or about a month since I've seen any orientation flights. So I'll go into that one tomorrow and look for any cap brood. And if I don't see any signs of a queen in there, eggs or larvae or cap brood or something, I'm going to assume that there's no queen. And my hope is that a worker bee didn't convert to drone laying, because that's what they'll do if they're they don't have a queen for a certain amount of time. They can convert to a worker bee can convert to a queen laying drone. She lays drones only, which means the hive will die. And once you get a worker bee start laying drones, um, yeah, you might as well not even fiddle with that hive anymore. Because even if I was to put a queen in there or a queen cell, they wouldn't accept the new queen. Um, yeah, that hive is done for once you get a worker laying, a laying worker bee. It's over. And so if these two hives end up failing here, I'm okay with that. Um, I've already got a really strong swarm that I caught. That is really packed. I was really surprised how many bees were in that one already. And so, and the swarm that I caught is pretty good size. Well, you saw how big it was. The swarm I caught a couple days ago. And so, um, yeah, I'm okay with letting these pass away. And what I'll probably do is make some queen cells out of this really healthy swarm I caught last month and do a couple of splits um, next month, early next month, and that'll give me 4 hives. So I'll either end up with 4 or 6 hives, hopefully going into winter. But you know what? Actually, I'm not sure if I want that many going into winter. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe going into winter, probably 2 hives is probably sufficient. Keep them really healthy. Early spring, I can make a bunch of splits, however many I want, up to a 6 or something or more. And yeah, I don't know, because I noticed once I got to 3 hives, these bees really pester me anywhere I am now. When I only had 1 or 2 hives, no, they didn't pester me anywhere. There was no problem. But now that, now I've got 4, and they're already pestering me when I had 3, all over the place. Just buzzing in my face. Up in the front yard. Geez, that's like, I was up in the front, by the street there. That's like 90 feet away from here, in the street area. And that's why there's rules, right? Regulations about how many beehives you can have in the city or in a town, right? In your house, when you have a surrounding houses around you, like, right? Yeah, I'm surrounded by houses all around me, and what happens is when there's too many when the concentration of bees is too high in that community, in that local area, other people start getting stung. And if you have somebody in your area that goes into anaphylactic shock, and they know that you have bees, now they can't hold you accountable legally, but because it could have been another bee from another hive, right? But there's more competition for food. They're more defensive about the area because of the limited amount of food, because there's so much competition for what food is available, that they can become more aggressive in the neighborhood. And so the rules are 3 hives per resident, max. And I'm already above that. But if I get accosted by the regulators, I can just say these are 2 die-outs. They're getting ready to die out. So in a sense, because they're queenless, so in a sense I have 2 hives. I could say that. Of course, I'm not going to know until I go in and inspect. I could be above the legal limit. I don't know if it's a legal thing. What I did, the research I found out was the rules and regulations are a maximum of 3 hives per resident. And it also stated that unless neighbors complain, it's not a problem. It's only going to be a regulation that is enforced if a neighbor complains about too many bees, chasing them into their house. I can't be on my property anymore. What's going on? Where are all these bees coming from? Ouch! Ow! Right? And they call the regulators, and they come out, investigate what situation I got, and then advise me what I can and can't do, or should or shouldn't do. Anyway, Yeah. They're just kind of hanging out on that box. You can see they're just swarmed out on that box in front. They haven't gotten her pheromones yet in that in there. Maybe I'll close that up a little bit. Okay. So now they're going to re-navigate again. As they try to get through my clothes. I'm so angry with you. Stop messing with my hive. And you can hear them buzzing all around me. I want to sting you so bad. I can taste it. Okay, I guess I'll feed them now. You're just not gonna give up, huh? Okay, I'll take a walk. Take a walk on the wild side. I don't like you being around me. Still can't tell if that queen's in this box. I'm gonna get them out of here. Once and for all. Okay. All right, girls, you ready for some feeding? Excuse me, I'm gonna go get them some more food. And I'll be right back. All right, girls. Easy. Here it comes. Party on. Don't drown there. Don't do doing the backstroke. Okay. There you go. Easy peasy. A new hive. New and improved. Yeah, I built this top cover from scrap wood. Everything you see there is just, I just got a bunch of scrap wood back there. I use it for different things. I got scrap wood everywhere. all over the property. I never know what project I'm going to come up with, and thoughts and ideas, and never know. So keep a lot of wood handy. Okay, so I need to shore this one up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go get a observational panel, put that underneath there. So this is the observational panel right here. I got rolls of them at Walmart. They were throwing them out in the back. I was looking for pallets to build some projects, and instead of finding pallets, I found huge, long, like 8 foot tall or 6 foot tall rolls of this. Really sturdy. It'll last forever. So I cut them to size, and then I just take them. I just slide these right on the back. That becomes my observational panel. Put this little piece of wood in the back so bees can't get in there and get themselves trapped. It also keeps foragers, marauders out. And not only that, I don't want my bees getting underneath there when the varroa mites drop down there. I don't want my girls going underneath there and picking up the varroa mites. She's looking for a place to sting. She got her tail up. Where can I sting? Where can I sting? Oh, there it is. That tail is up. Looking for that spot. Where is that soft spot? You ain't gonna get me today. Maybe tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to build up that front. So build this front up a little bit. more level with the entrance. There you go. Now it's more level with the entrance. I'll adjust that probably again at nighttime or something. It's not so busy. And that job is done. That job is done. I like it when jobs are done. So tomorrow I'm going here and inspect this one. Pretty warm today. You can see why there's so many fanners out there. They're such big fans. Yeah. Pretty warm. And that's another reason why I put those screens in there. My other hives, before I came up with that design, my other hives, they were so hot. They would spend all night out on the landing board. Looks like they were panting, right? Because it was so hot in there. So you get them out active all day. They come in, their bodies are already heated. So they bring that heat in there with them. And that heat, and then you got the sun, right, hitting that box, and then the heat of the day, and it just keeps elevating. And now they can withstand up to 104 degrees in the hive, and so can the larvae and queen and all that. But you start getting up in that area, it's pretty stressful for them, and yeah, it could be harmful. So by having that screen board, I can raise. It's very simple. I just take a crowbar or something, or whatever, and raise up one stick higher, higher, another higher. Keep going until I get it up to that height, even height, and get it about that high. Nice airflow right through there, and for the summer, and the bees will be happier because in the summertime, when it's hot in there, what they end up doing is they engage in a lot of fanning. Their wings are just going, trying to get the moisture out, because when they bring in the honey, when they bring in the nectar, as they're converting it to honey, they're trying to dry it. Once they put it into the cell, they're trying to dry it, and they use their wings to dry it. And they need to remove that humidity along with that heat. Otherwise, the hive can die. I've seen so many sad stories. That girl, are you the same one? No, you look a little different. I just want to sting you, that's all. Can't I just sting you somewhere? Where can I sting you? I just want to sting. Where's that soft spot? Go home. ETB, go home. So, she just looks like she doesn't have her butt up. She's just exploring. I do think she's looking for an opportunity, though. Oh, she followed my hand. I wasn't done with that hand. Yeah, you were looking for a spot to sting, weren't you? Because in my face. Okay, so tomorrow is going to be inspection day on these two hives. Yeah, typically when I do something like this, I go away. I don't hang out. Yeah, I do this job and then I leave because they're so angry, right? I mean, I would be angry too. If somebody came in and took my roof off my house, or moved my house around and disturbed everything and rattled my furniture. For them, it's the comb and the frames. And yeah, if I had a stinger, I'd be, where can I plant this thing? And whoever's doing that, whatever's doing that, what? Oh, I think I got another girl stuck in a cobweb. Here you go, girl. You're free. That thing just built it up. I couldn't even see that. That spider built that so it was invisible. I couldn't see it from this angle. All I could see was a bee in the middle of the air, just dangling, like fighting something. She's free now. Now what she's going to do is spend the next 15 minutes trying to get all that sticky web off her legs. Yeah. Oh, she's going to take it inside and have her girlfriends help her, sisters help her. Yeah, I've taken some bees out of webs. They were almost cocooned in it, and I would just take my tweezers and pull one side of the web and pull off the bee. I don't know. I'm just that way. I have empathy like that when it's reasonable, right? When I have the time, I'm just sitting there anyway, and so I don't see any hanging cobwebs today from trying to take over the cove. All right, so I will make another video tomorrow of what I find out in here on these two hives, whether they're dead or not, whether they're going to be die-outs. Actually, if there's no queen in any of them, and there's no sign of any egg laying or anything like that, no queen sign, you know, I don't see the signs. I hope I see the signs. I hope I see the signs. I hope. But if I don't see the signs, I'm just going to write these two hives off as dead outs and focus on the two swarms I've caught in the last 4 weeks or so. And probably make some splits from them. And that's always a risk too. So it's possible that when I did the split from my main hive, I might have injured the queen, weakened her. That's always a risk, right? That's why I hate messing around like that. Rather just let the bees swarm out and divide on their own. Right? Get in there, especially if you only have one hive, because at that point I only had the one hive. April 1st, I just had the one hive, and then I made a split, and if I injured that queen, or say I killed her, no hives. The only thing I can rely on after that would be the swarms that I caught. It's a good thing I caught 2 of them. You know, if that scenario is what happened, I'm glad I have 2 more hives that I caught here. Yeah, I couldn't believe how that was hard to believe, man. That swarm that I caught in the middle of last month, feeding them heavy like I did for a month, really paid off. That is one strong call. That's one strong hive right there. Very strong colony. And so you can see the transfer. That's how they look now. They're all settling in. Look more relaxed. They got a restaurant they can go right outside the door. Yep, I'm the waiter. And so her pheromones are filling that hive, and so yeah, they feel good now. So everything looks calm. These girls are still a little excited. Yeah, because I was just in there, you know, how long ago, so they're still a little excited looking. Yeah, that was so much bigger than I thought. Impressive. I have seen some good-sized navigational flights now and then. The hives that I used to have, I could put my watch on it. It was always the same time. 4 o'clock, right? Give or take a couple of minutes. 4 o'clock every day. The farm bees, they would do an orientation flight. I'll go watch the girls do an orientation. Come out around 4 o'clock, get here around 3:30ish or so. And sure enough, here they start to build up. But these girls here, they seem to have their own time clock, based on their instincts of this area. And so the orientation flight that I saw this one make yesterday, it was at 4 o'clock. In fact, I think it was closer to 4:30. Yeah, this one here, the last hive I was messing with here. Yeah, these girls here had a really nice big orientation flight yesterday, which explains why there are so many bees in there, because they're probably doing that probably every day. I'd have to put one of those cameras, you know, that sits all day, and then, yeah, record it and see what time they're routinely orientating. Who has time to just sit around in front of bees all day? Anyway, so I'm going to put another hive out in front tonight. So this is the first day that I left no hive in the tree. It's been 2 full days since I caught this swarm. This is the third day, afternoon into third day, and this will be the third night. Tonight will be the third night. So um, I'm gonna go put an empty box up there, and hopefully it's the same result in the morning as this morning, which was 0 bees. And there was midnight last night. It was 0 bees. So it went from originally 12 girls thinking they were going to camp out overnight in there. The next night, midnight, 0. And I suspect the same tonight. But I'm curious like that. Well, if all those girls got that memo, I wanted to see the efficiency of putting